Welcome back. You're with Newsday. The gold medal Olympian Jared Tallent will be one of 31 coaches who will be trained up to help our next generation of athletes reach the 2032 Brisbane Olympic and Paralympic Games. Joining us live now with more is swimming legend and Australian Sports Commission CEO Kieren Perkins. Kieren, really appreciate your time. Thank you. Coaches, I guess, can be overlooked sometimes when it comes to the glory of Olympic medals, but I can imagine it's pretty hard to go for gold without some star coaches in the background.
Thanks for having me this morning. Yeah, look, absolutely. It is a really big challenge that, at the end of the day, all our athletes need guidance, support to be able to achieve at the highest level. And the reality is that to develop your skills as a high-performance coach requires support through an apprenticeship, to spend time learning from the best and to be able to develop your own skills before you then get to that international level. And it's a many years journey for coaches as it is for athletes. And certainly when you're got responsibilities outside of life as a coach or an aspiring coach, finding the support to help you get there can be hard.
So tell us a bit about the program. What are you doing?
So what we're doing in conjunction with the National Institute Network and national sporting organisations, we've actually put together this year 31 paid apprenticeships for our cohort who are going to be able to, they'll be connected with mentors in their sports and they'll be given the opportunity to develop their skills through this 2-year apprenticeship, with obviously the goal that by the time they've got to the end of that, they'll be able to then move into high performance roles and be that coaching cohort that we see very successfully performing in 32.
Are we still seeing women underrepresented in the coaching ranks? I mean, in swimming, as you well know in particular, our women have been performing so well for decades. Why have we seen women struggle to make that transition to coaching? Is there something being done about it?
Look, absolutely, it is a massive challenge, and it's something that we see through the stats. There's only about 10% of our national high-performance coaches, head coaches, are women, and that balance, when you consider the sporting success that we have across our female sports, it's something that needs to be leaned into. And this program, we're very proud that actually 20 of the 31 coaches are women, and being able to provide them with the support and flexibility to be able to develop is fantastic. But this is really just the start. There's a lot of other work that needs to be done culturally to make sure that not only are girls and women able to see that there's a pathway into coaching and administration in sport, but then there's the jobs that support them when they do develop their skills and they're ready to take the lead.
All eyes are obviously on Brisbane. It still seems a long way away. How confident are you about that next generation, that next band of up-and-comings? Are you pretty confident that we've got a solid team that will be moving through the ranks?
Look, there is a long runway, 10 years, but the reality for us in the sporting world is that the kids who are sort of in that early teen age group now, they are the ones that we need to be performing in 32. And, there is definitely a challenge to make sure that we've got the right resources and support to allow sport to operate. There's been a lot of great conversation about all the infrastructure and work that needs to be done to ensure these events go off. But it is the field of play where Australia draws most of their pride and where we'll be judged on how we perform. So we're quite anxious and working very hard to ensure that the systems are in place, but we've got plenty of work to do to ensure that not only are we finding and developing that talent coming through, but the coaches and volunteers and administrators who help sport run are also given the tools to be able to perform and develop at the highest level. And we've got work to do, but we're all leaning into it because we know 2032 is approaching.
Kieren, how would you describe more broadly the state of Australian swimming right now? As we know, we have seen some cultural issues in recent years that have had to be addressed.
Certainly swimming, like all sports, has been really challenged by how we move into a modern era and ensuring that the experience that we're providing to everyone who's involved is appropriate, and that the athletes and the people that work through sport actually become advocates for life in their experiences. And we've got work to do across all sports to really get us into that position. And I think the great thing is that sport recognise it. There's a lot of work that's being done at different levels, and certainly from an Australian Sports Commission perspective, in May of 21, we apologised to athletes who didn't have an appropriate experience in the residential scholarship program that happened in Canberra at the AIS, with more work coming up very soon to help the restorative process to engage those people and to learn from them to make sure that we're not making any mistakes going forward. And certainly the work that I was personally involved in my previous role in swimming, it's something that we take seriously. There's some really good people who are doing an amazing work to move the system forward. But I would challenge everybody in the community that culturally we've still got an enormous amount of work to do to provide a safe and enjoyable environment for all participants.
On a global scale, there's obviously been huge controversy in recent weeks over World Swimming's decision to ban transgender athletes from competing in women's events. Where do you stand on that issue, and how divisive do you see that transgender question of being within the sporting community here in Australia?
Look, unfortunately, I think that the way that this topic of transgender participation has been politicised, it's probably turned it into a much more significant and challenged conversation that it needed to be. And FINA's move is a fantastic example. They've taken a very black and white view. They've claimed that the science is in when in fact anyone who actually works in this field would show that it clearly isn't, and there's a lot more activity that needs to be undertaken. And what worries me the most is that the move that FINA's taken has led to, as we were concerned, to community sports people starting to see this as a lead for their opportunity to want to drive exclusionary policies and environments, and it's just not acceptable. We have a responsibility to ensure that all people are included in sport and they're all given the opportunity to have a safe and enjoyable experience. And when at some point they develop through their careers and we are actually fighting for sheep stations, then we can have a conversation about the individual and what's the appropriate way for them to be able to engage in sport. But FINA's decision to just exclude and come up with this fantasy land separate category, I think unfortunately has set back the cause and the work that many good people have been doing quite significantly, and it's why I've been vocal and trying to bring a more nuanced dialogue into the conversation. We can solve these issues, we can work together to deliver them, and just blanket ignorant exclusion is not the answer.
Kieren, Perkins, really appreciate you making the time for us today. Thank you so much, and best of luck with it all.
Thank you.